So there are some scams out there that affect both civilians as well as soldiers out there, so stick around because I'm going to try to help teach you ways that you can prevent yourself from being a victim of these scams. What's up, my friends? Welcome to an all new video. In this one, I'm specifically talking about like these scams that are kind of going on. They're targeting civilians, but there's also some of this that, affects soldiers as well. So I've done a video on this topic before, but that video wasn't really kind of giving a lot of tips as far as how to prevent yourself from being a victim of this, as well as helping soldiers out. It was kind of talking about a little bit of what was kind of happening with these scams and a little bit of information on there, but I've got a lot more, kind of messages of people who are falling victim of these scams. So I have a little bit more information on these scams than I did back then, as well as some information to help out some of you soldiers. Now I'm actually going to kind of start off with some of the civilian side of it, but it can still be important for soldiers out there too, to kind of understand how these scams are kind of working, so that maybe you can potentially help out maybe some friends or even family members that could potentially be a victim of one of these scams. Now also, one of the main things you have to understand about these scams is that even though I'm telling you about these scams and giving you tips to how to avoid it, don't think that that means that these scammers are going to be able to get smarter about it, because the thing is, they're looking for easy targets. You can kind of think of it as an example of if someone was teaching some kind of criminal how to hack a vault safe at a bank or something like that. Do you think that that's going to increase bank robberies? Probably not. That's more likely going to be a thing where a criminal is going to go after more of these easy targets, convenience stores, people in alleyways, someone who's weak that they can easily prey on to rob them and get the money from them, rather than taking a big risk and going into a bank and trying to get into that vault and trying to get the money from there. So that's kind of the same mentality for these online scammers. They're going to try to go after easy targets, ones that they can target a lot of individuals and hopefully get a bigger return, rather than putting a lot of effort into trying to trick people into being really super convincing that they're in the military. So that's part of the scam, is they're faking that they're in the military and they're stealing photos, claiming to be these soldiers, and trying to scam these individuals. And I want to try to help you, trying to identify maybe these people and try to help safeguard your information. So the first and most important thing is, don't send anybody anything if you don't know who this person is personally. If you only know this person from your interaction online, through social media, through chatting or whatever, don't send these individuals anything. It can be something as small as just some food or whatever, just to kind of start building that trust. That's what they're trying to do, is build your trust. Make it think it's not something super important and you're kind of off guard thinking this isn't a scam, because you're building the trust. You're just sending some food. It's not a big deal, and that's not, nothing to really worry about just yet. And then they're going to slowly start building up to other things. It might lead on to gift cards, and then after gift cards, then it's some kind of story where they need money for something, and it just kind of builds on that. So even starting off as low as just sending someone food that you don't actually know personally, you're not sure if this is really a soldier because you've never seen this person, then don't send them any kind of items of any sort. With maybe like one exception, because technically I do have a P.O. box down in the description area, and you probably only know me from online, so I don't know. I'm not requesting you to send me stuff, but you can if you really want to. I mean, I will take Rockstar Energy drinks donations if you want. But joking aside, let's get back into it. And another thing that they're trying to do is, usually when they're building up that trust, they're trying to get to a bigger story to get more money out of you. I'm going to give you some examples of some of the really common stories that I've seen that people have messaged me about. One of them is being medical reasons. They're saying that, they got injured or something happened where they had to get surgery or whatever the case was, and they had to go to the hospital, and now they have to pay for this surgery, they have to pay for these medical expenses, they're in another country and they have to pay the doctor's bill in that country, something along those lines. And that is not how it works in the United States Army. If a soldier, let's say, is deployed somewheres and they get injured, serious enough they need surgery, then they might be sent somewhere like Germany. Germany has an installation there where they have a really good medical facility, or they might just get sent back to the United States and they're going to be treated there. And also along with it is, soldiers are taken care of medically, as far as their medical bills, all of that medical expenses are all taken care of. Soldiers have great medical insurance, I guess you can think of it as, but the Army takes care of soldiers. So if a soldier needs some kind of surgery, needs some kind of operation, needs some kind of medical treatment, the Army is taking care of that. The soldier is not going to have to pay out of pocket for that surgery. So if they're asking money to cover a surgery, they're lying to you. Another common one that I've seen inside of these messages is them requesting money for food, or simply requesting food because they're, out of food wherever they're at, or their, food is scarce or something like that. Now, the US Army actually has cooks in the Army that make food. If you're out on a deployment, let's say, then you're probably getting maybe breakfast and dinner at a minimum. I mean, at some locations you're also getting lunch. And then if you're at a location where those cooks aren't with you, then at a minimum you have these MREs. So you have like cases of MREs, and they might not be the greatest food, but you still have something to eat. So if a soldier has access to the internet, they probably have access to food. There's not going to be a situation where they have access to the internet but not food. I mean, come on, you got to think about the priorities here. The Army's not going to prioritize, we got to make sure the internet's working, but food right now, yeah, sorry guys, but go ahead and feel free to use the internet. Another really common one is they need money to be able to get home or go on leave, something along those lines. I've seen several stories where they're saying that they need money to be able to leave their deployment and get a replacement, or they want to take vacation, or they want to leave to be able to come visit you, and they need you to pay for that. They even go as far as maybe to have someone else like email you saying that they're, this is their commander, and you have to pay this fee, and they'll send you some fake form that looks crazy as hell, and there's some kind of fee associated with you paying to allow that individual to go on vacation. So that is not how that works. And a soldier deploys with their unit. So everybody from that unit, they go back in waves to leave, right? So you're not having to pay to leave from there. The military is taking care of their flights to get back and all that kind of stuff. Even during the Iraq War and Afghanistan War, during those 12 and 15 month deployments, soldiers were getting a chance sometimes to take a little bit of vacation. This is how it usually worked. Like when I was in Iraq, we got 15 days of vacation, and they would take care of our flights back to the States so we could enjoy a little R&R, go back to the States for about 15 days and have to come back on that deployment. So the soldiers aren't having to pay for that when they're leaving from there. When they're done with that, they're leaving as a unit, going back in waves. The Army isn't having to go and make that soldier pay to find their way back. Kind of also similar to that is, I've seen ones where they're saying that they have to pay to get out of the Army, and they want you to pay for that, and they'll have some kind of special form that they want you to fill out, and then a fee that allows them to get out of the Army so they can come be with you. That's not how that works. When a soldier's contract is up, they're free to go. Maybe sure they might have to pay for a flight to go wherever they're going. Maybe usually once they're getting out, they'll pay for one flight to go back to your home of record or wherever you want to go, but you're not having to pay a fee to get out of the Army. So let me kind of give you also some kind of tips for things to look out for. One of the really common ones is when you're talking to someone, if they're saying that I'm deployed to a combat zone, that is a potential red flag that you should have your guard up and really be paying attention to the information they're trying to get from you, what they're saying, and all that kind of things. Now, there are soldiers deployed to combat zones. One of the common ones that they're saying, these scammers are saying, is that they're deployed to Nigeria or Syria or Afghanistan. And sure, there are some soldiers there, but not a whole lot. It's very few people that are deployed to these combat zones. Deployments nowadays are not as crazy as it was back in 2010, around that time frame when Iraq and Afghanistan was really active. There was a time in the Army when you would see pretty much everybody with combat patches because everybody was going on these deployments back to back. Nowadays, you're only seeing really the higher enlisted individuals that were in the Army during that time with the major deployments for Iraq and Afghanistan. A lot of the younger soldiers right now don't have any combat patches. So yes, there are soldiers deployed to these areas, but not a whole lot. So that's definitely some kind of a red flag to kind of be aware of, that there's a possibility this might be a scammer. Now, also kind of along with that, they're usually claiming that they have these top secret missions that are going on, these classified missions, and that's usually building up to another bigger story of why they need some money from you possibly. But along with that, you're not going to have that kind of a situation. For one, that's either a scammer, which it most likely is, or two, maybe it is really a soldier that is maybe just trying to show off and make it sound like they're more high speed or really cool just to try to impress you. Or three, it is really a soldier that is really doing these top secret missions that's a really horrible soldier, because that is not something they're supposed to be disclosing to some random strangers on the internet. So that's probably, if that was a real life situation, that's probably not someone you want to be involved with. Now, if you know this individual from social media, check out their social media profile. Check out what pictures they have, what kind of status updates they're posting, to see if it really lines up with something similar to what you're doing or what your friends are doing. Because a lot of times what you'll see is they're posting all these pictures of them in uniform, but no real status updates like you normally see from your friends or from yourself, like posting about, oh, I had a bad day or I had a great day, or just these regular average things. There'll be nothing but these photos of them in uniform, and probably even around the same time frame. Also, in the comment section, you would normally see probably comments from their friends back home, comments from their family members saying we miss you, or something along those lines. In these scammers ones, you've probably seen no comments, or maybe only a couple that are from other people that they're trying to scam. So that's another thing to check out, is really examine their social media profile to see for these little red flags. Now, there are also soldiers out there being scammed, or even soldiers that are, inadvertently helping these scammers. One scam that's currently going on that the Army is trying to push out to individuals to let them know is that they'll either receive like a letter or some kind of message saying that they're either one of their close friends or they've been in contact with their close friends and they have incriminating information, and if you don't send them money or even asking for large amounts of Bitcoin, then they're going to release this incriminating information to the public and to your family. So just kind of be aware that is one of the current scams that are kind of going on, is they're trying to target soldiers and trying to send them these letters or messages thinking that they're going to release something and not even saying what it is that they know about, just to kind of get you worried, and you're thinking, oh crap, maybe they know about that time I went to the bar or whatever it is. You're trying to get the brain going and getting you paranoid and thinking that they're going to release this information when they probably don't have anything and it's just a big scam. Now, another thing to keep in mind for soldiers out there is there are ways that you could potentially be helping the scammers build up content for them to scam civilians. Now, you've probably seen it before where maybe you or one of your friends or something gets a friend request from a hot girl or maybe even a hot guy, whatever the case might be, right? And you're like, oh cool, this hot individual wants to be friends with me. I don't know this person, but sure, I'll accept their friend request. And there's a possibility that that's not even really who the person is. They've stolen some photos from someone else, created this fake profile to hopefully get you to friend them, and then now they have access to your private Facebook profile. So it's a good idea to, for one, not just accept random people, because they'll get access to all this information and possibly download it to use it for their ammo, to be able to, trick all these civilians into thinking that they are you and get them to send them money. But also, it's a good idea to make a lot of those photos, maybe of you in uniform or something, only available to your friends, people you trust. So that way someone who just is simply looking for soldiers on social media doesn't find your profile that has a bunch of public photos of you in uniform that they could potentially steal and use that against other civilians to try to trick them thinking that they are you. Alright, so if you enjoyed that video, hit the thumbs up. If you think this video could potentially help out some of your friends, family members, something along those lines, maybe think about sharing this video. Check out some recommended videos over here. Links are down in the description. I'm Christopher Chaos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya.